Welcome to the REI Agent, a holistic approach to life through real estate. I'm Mattias, an agent and investor.
And I'm Erica, a licensed therapist.
Join us as we interview guests that also strive to live bold and fulfilled lives through business and real estate investing.
Tune in every week for interviews with real estate agents and investors.
Ready to level up?
Let's do it.
Welcome back to the REI Agent. I had the honor of interviewing Luke Acree today. I've been saying that wrong, even though I had a fun little way of saying that helped me remember. Anyway, Luke is a really interesting person. He owns a marketing company that started off primarily using or servicing agents. He's not the only owner. He joined with his uncle, but he is very, very smart and driven and has many brothers as he gets into that. Now he is in a partnership with, a real estate sales company, a property management company, and they invest together, have over 200 doors. We started off the conversation really focusing in on marketing, and then we get into some of the investing and things like that as well. But marketing is such a great thing that if you can find the right vein, if you can find the right way of doing it, the way that you like, that fits with your brand, I think that's such a great thing to get off your plate. I think many people don't do marketing well. And, it's one of those things that you can outsource that should be giving you an ROI, and you should be tracking it. So I think it's one of those things that if you analyze what brings you the most money in your business, where you should be spending the most time, marketing is a powerful one. And maybe you're really good at it. I've interviewed a lot of people that are awesome at social media, and that's great. But there's a lot of people that aren't. And I think that that's a great thing to outsource. That might be, I'm not sure if that would come before something like transaction coordinating or admin support, but it's definitely up there. And it's just a great thing that you can find a good company to take it off your plate, to focus in on what you do best and know that this is going to help you bring business in going forward so that you don't have to worry about the ups and downs as much. And hopefully you'll have to worry about having enough time to support all the business it brings in. And maybe you got to look at building a team to support all the business it brings in. But it was a great conversation. We could have had, 3 probably episodes with him. We could have talked about 3 different topics: marketing, maybe just real estate sales tips in general. He's not a realtor, but he's worked with a lot and, helps. He kind of co-owns that firm with his brothers, property management, investing. I mean, there's so many different things we could have talked about, but yeah, it was a great conversation. So I'm going to leave it at that because it's a longer episode, but it's well worth it. So stay tuned for the whole thing. Without further ado, it's Luke Acree. Welcome back to the REI Agent. I have the honor of having Luke Acree. Did I say it right?
Yeah, you got it right, my man.
Yes. My little trick worked. Luke, tell me a little bit about how you got into the real estate space, and I guess more specifically, what kind of space you're in the real estate game.
Yeah, for sure. And first, thanks for having me. Love being here. Love podcasting. Have one myself. So excited to talk to you in the audience. And I got into real estate through marketing. So about 14 years ago, I joined up with a company called ReminderMedia. It was a company that my uncle owned at the time. Was doing mainly print marketing. You might have heard of the concept of like customizing a personally branded magazine. We kind of are the creators of that space. So the small business arena doesn't have the ability usually to have their own magazine because it's too expensive. So think a real estate agent wants to send a Better Homes and Gardens to their sphere. They don't have the funds to be able to create their own. So we create them a version and they're able to white label it. So make it look like it's their magazine. We send it to their database. It's been a home run for us. So we've worked with about 150,000 real estate agents over the years. It's been awesome. And then that led us into digital marketing because people want a digital version of their magazine. And how do you distribute that? Well, email, text, social media. Magazine's filled with content. What do you need for your Instagram, for your Facebook? You need content. So we got into social media content. And so now we kind of have this marketing platform that if you're looking to, generate, acquire, nurture, and retain, your leads, which business is not.
Right.
That is what we help people do. And we do it from paid advertising like Facebook and Google all the way to the magazine for referral generation. And then there's a bunch of things in between. I've been doing it for about 14 years. Love it. Very passionate about it. And so, we even work with some investors because investors have relationships. I always tell people, who are your relationships and how are you keeping in touch with them? Because you want to create, your clients into raving fans. And the only way you do that is by doing the unexpected. So people 9 times out of 10 usually do the expected. But there's that 1% of people that tend to do the unexpected and they get raving fans. And people rave about them. And that's what we're in the business of doing, is helping people create raving fans.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah. And I mean, just kind of staying in touch can be a challenge if you don't have a system in place. And in this space, I mean, things are changing constantly. I mean, Instagram's algorithms,
frustrating is what it is.
It's different all the time. So I guess, tell me a little bit. I need my marketing. I need to step that up. I have a goal this year. I'm going to sell, over 50 homes, and I've been slacking on my newsletter. I've been slacking on posting anything on social media. I've been just burnt out for a couple of years. I want to come to you and I want you to take over. Is it an a la carte kind of service? Can I pick and choose which of these items I want to use, or what's that look like?
Yeah, it's a great question. So it is a la carte in the sense of, like, depending on your need, we're going to consult and help you based upon that. So maybe you're looking for geographic farming and you want to be the dominant agent in a neighborhood, or I know a lot of investors listen to this show. That's where it's geared towards. So maybe, like my brother and I do investing, we target absentee owners. So it's like my first phase is, okay, what's your end goal? And who's your ideal target audience? Because you market to people based upon where they're at, not where you're at. It's a huge mistake businesses make, is they tend to sell and preach and market based upon where they're at, not where the client is. So we got to determine who your ideal target audience is. 9 times out of 10 for real estate agents, it usually is their sphere, because their sphere is going to bring them referrals and repeat business. And that's where I think it was NAR that said 65% of all listings came from referral and repeat business. So 2/3 of listings are coming from referral and repeat. So that tends to be the ideal target audience. How do I get in front of my sphere? And then we will basically help you from a product standpoint, depending on what you want to do. I believe in omni-channel. So omni-channel is just a fancy way to say, Facebook, email, mailbox. I want you to be everywhere. So I'm going to set up a drip to where they're getting a piece of mail from you, like the magazine, every 2 months. They're getting an email from you either bi-weekly or monthly. I hope bi-weekly, because the more the better. And then I'm going to take all this content and post it out on your social media. Social's tricky, like you said, because the algorithms are always changing. And then the content that usually crushes it on social media is personal content. Yeah. And so it's very hard to automate and curate personal content. In fact, it's impossible to usually do that. You have to be in the moment. And so we'll help you subsidize your social media. I usually recommend, hey, I could post 3 times a day, every day for 365 days a year for you. We have that much content that we're creating, but that won't give you a great social media strategy. What I would rather do is post for you 2 to 3 times a week, so you're consistent. Everybody feels you're active, and in the mind of a consumer, activity a lot of times makes people think productivity. So I want you to be seen as a productive agent by being active, but I still need you to do the personal stuff. You with your family, you out and about, doing what you love, your passions, your hobbies, because that's what will draw people in and attract kind of that tribe, as they say. And so that's kind of how it would look. You would come to us. You would say, hey, Luke, I'm doing a terrible job at keeping in touch with my database because I don't have time. So I want to provide you an automated system that does it for you. I want to provide you exclusive content that only you can send, because only you can send the magazine and stuff like that. And then I want to obviously generate you an ROI, because none of it matters without an ROI. Right. So all of our content, we link out to landing pages. So the goal of that is, you probably know this, but it's just to get a hand raiser. I want to provide an item of value. So a very popular one right now is home equity reports. What's your home worth? A free CMA, things like that. Like our last mailing we did for Acree Brothers, which is my brother and I, the real estate team that we have down in Lynchburg, Virginia. We sent Lynchburg homes have gone up like 30K. Want to know what your home's going up. We sent it to, I think it was 429 people in our sphere. got 33 scans on that QR code on the magazine.
Yeah.
That then turns into phone call conversations and such to funnel them down.
Does this service then go with or integrate with other CRMs? Is it kind of like its own CRM that you would have to check separately, or how's that work?
Yeah, great question. So it is its own. It's not its own CRM, but own content manager or contact manager, I should say.
Okay.
We are integrated now with Follow Up Boss, and we are working to integrate with some of the bigger ones like a Bold Trail and Moxie and all them. We're in the works of trying to get in with all of them. But right now it's standalone where you can kind of do it, and we integrate through, you can download and export things or text and email to you. Yep.
Okay. And if somebody were to have their own funnel, for example, could that be integrated? You could link that to the QR code?
Yeah, you can link out to your funnels. A lot of people will do that because they have maybe their landing pages or funnels through like ClickFunnels or Regal Geeks or something like that. So we have people do that.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I think that the key piece there you're talking about, and I think it's one of the maybe 101s that real estate agents miss often, or just in general. I mean, like, I think when people get a real estate license, they're not expecting to have to become an expert marketer on top of knowing how to sell real estate. And I think one of the things that I see a lot is people don't really put out content that, in my opinion, others would care about. That are, like you talked about, you got to think about what the consumer themselves want. And so getting something out there that is, enticing, a value, that either gives them good information that they might appreciate consuming, or like you're talking about, is actually something that would give them, that would get them to take action, to actually scan a QR code, to look into something deeper, to give out contact information if you probably already have it if you're marketing to them, but some sort of hand raising. And so I think that's the intentionality that I think a lot of people miss, and that's where your company can obviously help a lot.
It's a big pain point of, normally we tend to market for instant gratification, but anybody who's built a successful business realizes that it's a long-term game. It's about consistency. It's about relationship building. You usually can't build a relationship unless you're on one of those weird dating shows like Married at First Sight. You can't usually build one overnight. It takes time because the foundation of somebody working with you is that old slogan of know, like, and trust. So we've all heard it till we're blue in the face. And so what I'm trying to do is go, okay, how do you take these principles of getting known, getting liked, and getting trusted? And how do you facilitate that from a marketing standpoint to help foster and move that along from a speed standpoint? And I have just found that, you get trusted usually from a couple different things. One is through consistency. So you build trust by just being with people all the time. You tend to trust people you're familiar with and because you just know them. You've watched them. You've seen them show up. You've seen them follow through on what they say or not follow through, which would be a breaking of trust. And so consistency is a big part of building trust. But another way of building trust is like, who do we trust? We tend to trust people we learn from. So we tend to trust people like teachers and pastors and coaches and mentors. And so your job in your whatever specialty is to be an educator, because education drives trust. So people might not pay attention to what you say all the time, but if you're an investor, like, how do you, educate the clients on what you want them to know based upon what you're going after? And how do you put out that content? Now, here's a problem. You can't just educate 100% of the time because it's boring, right? So the insurance salesman cannot educate you all day long on insurance. You'll just tune it out because you don't care about insurance until you have a need, until you have a pain point. So the trick is there's no magic formula to it. But I've always said like 50, 60% of your content that you're putting out to the world through email, through social, through print should be educational content, elevating your credibility as the subject matter expert. But then you have like 30% of your content should really be what I call as entertaining, like value driven. That is just about connecting. And if you think of the know, like, and trust, known comes from just getting out there in front of people and through consistency. Liked is, if you are a student of Tony Robbins, it's about rapport building, right? Likability is usually off of, we have things in common, both shared values and shared interest. And so how do you showcase to people shared values and shared interest? And this is why, I'm trying to think of an example for you guys. It's like I was homeschooled all the way to college. So I grew up in a family of 8 kids, homeschooled all the way to college. I was the third of 8. My dad's a pastor. I'm married right now to my high school sweetheart, Megan. We have 2 children, Evelyn and William. I go to church. I play on our praise team. So I'm mentioning all these things about me. So anybody listening to this right now that is a believer, was homeschooled, is married, has kids, like if I said the sports team, like I'm actually a Washington Commanders fan. I know it's kind of, well, last season was a great season for us. So let's go. Hail Jaden Daniels. Yeah. But the point is, anybody who's a Washington Commanders fan is connected to me more.
Yeah.
Right. And the people who hate the Washington Commanders is now, they don't like me as much. Right. So it's those things that build subtle trust. Subtle likability, and you cannot have trust without this familiarity, and you can't have familiarity without frequency. And so it's this idea in marketing, and sorry, talking long, but it's this idea of how do I help you, Mattias, be consistent and educate everybody that, hey, if they need help buying, selling, or investing in real estate, Mattias is the subject matter expert. He is so passionate about it. He obsesses over it. He knows it because he's lived it. He is the Sherpa. If you want to climb Mount Everest, he's done it 20 times, right? So how do I do that? That's 50, 60% of the content. Easy hack for everybody. Write down your FAQs, your frequently asked questions that you get all the time in what you do every day. That is your educational content. You're an expert in it, and you just need to produce it and put it out there. But then I want to 30% of the time get you to post about you and your family, you at church, maybe at local events that are going on. And then you take it a step further. Gifting is a way to, encourage likability and getting to know people. The FORD acronym is the perfect acronym: family, occupation, recreation, dreams. Yeah. Like put out content on your family, your hobbies, your work, your dreams of what you're trying to do. You'll connect with people, and then build trust by, I call it education, but there's also 3 other ways you can build trust, which is testimonials. So what your clients say about you. So you can claim you're a great educator, but it's better if a client tells the world you're a great educator. Yep. Accolades. You can claim you're an educator, but it's better if a third-party endorser says Luke Acree has been on the Inc. 5000 list with ReminderMedia 4 years in a row. Fastest growing companies. So I can tell you I love marketing, but it's a lot different when Entrepreneur Magazine or Founders Magazine or these places that you get featured. This is why PR is a thing. It's like, I've been on NBC, I've been on Fox, I've been up, right? It's an endorsement of the educator. And then the third way that a lot of people don't think about, which I guess you could say is the fourth way. So content, right? Education, then you have accolades, then you have testimonials. The fourth way is what I call partnerships. So like you have a trusted audience right now with the REI Agent Podcast. They don't know Luke Acree from anywhere. So I'm earning trust through you by association. Because they trust you, because you've been educating them, they know you personally, all this stuff, they now will give me a window. They'll lower their guard and trust me a little bit because of the trust that you have. So I'm earning trust through association. So I always encourage, and this is huge in investing, like Tim Bushnell, an agent on our team, has 2 clients that feed him. I mean, they might feed him 30 real estate deals this year. They're investor clients. And he's earned a lot of trust, but he joined up with an investor group in Lynchburg, Virginia to build that. And so he earned trust by association in that group and so forth. And it's turned into a great lead source for his business. So it's like, that's a long ramble to say that is what you have to do in marketing in order to be successful. And we're going to try to help automate that for you so you can spend time closing deals.
No, that's really, really great. I mean, and you just also succeeded at educating and getting us to know a little bit more about you, building trust, et cetera. I have to say, I have this pet peeve, and I don't think it's fully founded, but amongst all of what you just said, you did not say you are posting just sold pictures of your clients.
Yeah. and I'm not opposed to it. I just don't think you should do it all the time. That should be
your only thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so because I think about this all the time is just how different real estate marketing is, or what most people do for real estate marketing compared to what other industries do. And I think that, like for example, you mentioned insurance, like nobody's out there wanting to watch a Geico commercial where they talk about how many successful policies they wrote.
Yeah.
Who cares? I mean, sure, there is an element of they're big, and if all these other people trusted them, then surely they're a good option for you.
It needs to be framed differently. Clients helped. We were able to help X number of families this year. Like, here's how we do it at Acree Brothers. It's like last year we sold 269 homes. I shouldn't say that. I should say we did 269 transactions, buy side, sell side, right? But so 269. And so we're able to say thank you to our sphere for helping us serve 269 families this year. So it's a humble brag to a strategic way, right? And that's how I would encourage people, because you're exactly right. You don't want the doctor posting number 10 of a successful surgery of removing this person's organ, right? That would be the weirdest post from the doctor, from the surgeon, but real estate agents do that. But it is a glaring example of, if you feel awkward posting that, it means you haven't done the other work necessary to be able to post the just sold, to be able to post the I just helped Susan and John. Because you haven't built relationship and it's all just about marketing, everybody sees through that and goes, that's just, you don't really care about Susan and John. You're just bragging because you haven't been consistent in actually doing it all day long. And, you can know things head knowledge wise and not do them yourself heart knowledge wise. I've been guilty of it myself. It's where it's like, I constantly am posting stuff about all the, successes, wins, things like that, but I haven't been posting the failures. I haven't been posting the content that's relatable and that's about relationship, and that's where we fall down.
Yeah, no, and to your point, there is a place. Like, it's not like, I think that's where it's the low hanging fruit that I think a lot of people will take on, and the only thing they share. And it does just feel like it's bragging. And again, it doesn't really focus on what your client actually, or what your target audience actually cares about or is interested in. It's super fascinating.
Doing it over the years too, I would tell people, because I talk a lot about obviously what you should send and do, but I've actually found over 14 years of doing this now with a bunch of people, is the biggest problem in the industry is they don't curate and cultivate their list. Like, they have no idea who's on their list right now. They have a list that is not well maintained, that they are not weeding, like they're not pruning and taking care of the garden. Like, they are not doing the work. And it's like, your marketing is only as good as your list. And everybody who's done email marketing knows that for a fact. And there is so little time. I actually had to build a team out of 17 people that, you know what they do all day long? This is their only job. You guys could save me so much money if you get this. They just call real estate agents and business owners to help them put their list together and stay on top of them to get their photo into us. It's literally a team of 17 people, 17 paid people that get commission when they get Mattias to actually get his list to us. And you would think that would be the thing a business owner has at the tip of their finger, because it's their most valuable asset. But this is why, like, one of my mentors, Alan Dalton, he was the past CEO of Realtor.com. He says, Luke, the biggest problem is you have an industry calling people past clients. And he goes, what are you, a past agent? He goes, you're not a past agent, you're a past client. The reason why real estate agents can't retire and can't sell their practice, but financial advisors can, doctors can, lawyers can, they can all sell to PE firms, to other competitors, strategic partners. Real estate agents can't. Why? Because real estate agents do not maintain and cultivate their client list, and they treat people as transactions. And even though they don't say it, they have the head knowledge. They know, oh, no, it's relationships. Oh, no, it's they're not past clients, but they don't act fundamentally that way. And so they have no value in their book of business that people can buy. And if you go talk to all top producers, they do that. And that's why they're top producers.
Yeah. I mean, so you mentioned Ford earlier. That's definitely mentioned in the Ninja Selling book. And I think it's I love that book. That's a great resource. And I think what you're talking about is exactly the mentality that I like to say I do. I'm not perfect. I don't always, but just, building up long-term relationships. We want those clients to refer us. We want to new people, to their friends, their family. We want them to come right back to you as soon as they have any questions about even thinking about selling or anything, just getting their house, painted. What's the best colors these days, et cetera. Like, you want to be that person that is, on top of their mind, and they felt like they had a great experience. They could trust you, all those stuff. And what you're saying is basically you should have established that in the process of selling the house, but you need to maintain that as well. You need to kind of stay top of mind and do so by producing content that is hopefully valuable, not just, hey, look at me. Like,
well, I'll give you a perfect example. One of my clients, and also I would call him a mentor now. I've learned so much from him. I've had him on our podcast, Sean Carpenter. He is a real estate agent. He was a coach and trainer, still is a speaker. He speaks all over. But he sent me a video chat the other day on April 9th on my son William's birthday, saying, Luke, calling in. I think he was at Nebraska. I think he was speaking to Nebraska's National Association or something like that. I can't remember, of their realtors. But he goes, hey, Luke, just wanted to wish William a happy birthday. I mean, it's one thing to send me a video message on my birthday.
Right.
He's doing it on my son's birthday. Like, that's how good this guy's, like a freaking ninja, as you referenced the book, right? Yeah. Using that language. He is a ninja because he lives it. Like, every day he writes, I think it's 4 or 5 handwritten notes to clients. He engages with like 20 people or so on social. Like, the guy's a freaking assassin. Doesn't even have to work, for his referrals. He's doing mostly speaking and training these days, but he's still selling real estate because it just comes to him. And that's an example of doesn't cost him anything but his time. And who do I talk of on an REI podcast? I talk of Sean Carpenter, right? And I think of Misty, Medicare Misty in the Medicare space, right? Absolute beast. When William was born, sent me a little onesie. My dad owns a magazine. And like she sent me that, and I still remember that. And you just go, it's those little things that, like, that's all you have to do. I call it like a 5 for 5. Take 5 minutes every single day, pick 5 people in your database, and just text them or DM them on social. It will help you with the algorithm because they'll engage, you'll engage, and it will boost you. But like, just personally reach out to them. Say, hey, Mattias, thinking about you today, brother. Thanks for having me on REI. I can't believe it's been 6 months since I was on the show. Hope it's been going well. And then, Easter just happened. Hope you had a great Easter. And boom, that's it. And now who's on Mattias's mind? Luke Acree. And now when that email comes through for my drip, I elevated the email. Now I stand out in the inbox because you remember the text message. The personal human interaction elevates all passive marketing. So the billboard stands out when you have gotten a phone call from the person on the billboard. Never forget that in marketing. You can market the crap out of people, which I do, but you've got to elevate your marketing by building a real relationship. This is why influencer marketing is all the rage, because an influencer puts a face, a personal relationship to a brand, and that's why it's all the rage, because people connect with people.
Yeah. I mean, mic drop. I don't know. Yeah. That's brilliant. It's perfect. It's exactly right. And if people haven't ever done this, if they haven't actually ever sat down and written postcards or letters every day, or systematically went through, I mean, you can go through your contact list and divide them out by, you could do met, not met, you could do A, B, C, D, you can do all sorts of different things to kind of organize your contacts. And what I like to do is A, B, C, D. A's would be people that would be kind of my promoters, the people that would either be repeat buyers or be like, singing my praises at the top of the mountaintop and be sending me referrals all the time, et cetera. And those people probably deserve like a lunch or something every year. And to keep track of that kind of thing, you'll be amazed how just nurturing those relationships and usually these are people you like too, right? So it's actually kind of fun to do this, and it's kind of an intentional practice that it becomes like a thing you enjoy when you get into it. But yeah, that is so much better time spent than, in my opinion, paying for leads, which I would rather have, the my
data
buddy
backs you up too. And we do leads for people, but I can speak to that. The data backs you up. You're spot on. That is a way better use of your time.
And if would you rather be answering 16 calls a day and hoping that 1 out of 100 might answer or meet with you, or would you rather be spending time talking to people you have a relationship with already? And then, you get a call that says, hey, my sister is moving into town and she needs a house. Can you help her? Yes.
Yeah, spot on.
You're not like begging to get their attention and to please don't hang up on me, please. It's exhausting.
So my philosophy on that, because we do, for context for everybody listening, so we do Facebook advertising, Instagram, doing some Google. So lead gen is that side. Postcards is also what I would consider a form of lead gen. It's about a 2% conversion over 12 months, 2 to 4%. Sure. And then you have referrals. I am such an advocate of your first and most important pillar for leads is your sphere. And you only should move to the next pillar when you have an excess of money coming in or time on your hands. So where most people, this is where I think people fall down. It's not that you should not do lead generation. You 100% should go after and do leads only if you have an excess of money coming in from your referral business that you want to invest back into your business, and you can't invest it back into that referral same pot that's going to generate more referrals, or you have an excess of time. And where most people find themselves is an excess of time. What do I mean by that? Well, when you come in today at 8 a.m., hopefully you guys started at least by 8 a.m., right? You came in at 8, you make your follow-up text, your follow-up calls, you're going to run out of friends to call, sphere to call. There's not that many if you're doing it every single day, unless you are just like extremely popular. So guess what you find yourself with? Time. And what are you going to do with that time? Most people are unproductive, and the phone is too heavy to pick up at that point and call cold people, to go out and door knock people. So they tell themselves, that's a waste of time and it's not good conversion. It's like, absolutely, I would much rather do a referral, but I don't got no more sphere to call coming in. I need to go do this. And that's our philosophy at Acree Brothers is 51% of our 269 last year came from referrals. But then we have pillars of, we have geofarming going on, we have Facebook advertising going on, we have some investing clients things going on. And so we use the excess of time to pick up the phone and make an hour of phone calls, every day to that circle prospecting list. And that's what I would encourage the audience listening is 100% focus all your effort onto relationships. When you find you have some time, don't make an excuse for yourself and work on something that doesn't matter. Actually get prospecting and pick up the phone and call some absentee owners, call a circle prospecting list, right? And do that, because you can do a lot with sweat equity without even spending check equity on leads. So anyways, that's my philosophy on it.
No, I agree with you completely. And actually, this is one of the things that I have thought about AI being really helpful with. So having a AI chatbot that isn't trying to pretend to be me, and you can do it as a caller too, AI like voice caller, where they are responding to a lead on the internet, for example, and basically just trying to vet and set up an appointment with that person. So they click on something. I think every time I've had like a lead thing kind of coming to me, half the time I feel like people, or more than half the time, I feel like people kind of clicked on something curious about what their house is worth or whatever. And then all of a sudden they are getting bombarded by a bunch of agents calling them. Like, I didn't really sign up for this. And it's just a painful process. And
it is. Yep.
But let's say instead, you have a chatbot, you have an AI voice caller, you have AI saying, hey, I'm Mattias' AI assistant that is wanting to, see if you have any questions to start, and then have, is there a good time for you to meet, depending on how you set it up exactly. And basically getting them on the calendar, going through all that process to begin with is likely going to mean they're going to show up and actually, have some serious interest. And so if you can get 100 people screened down to one, through not having to call or whatever.
Agree.
I am much more into that, just from my personal philosophy.
Yeah, we're testing that right now with our Facebook lead program. We've launched a bot where the bot basically does exactly what you're talking about. Hey, got your request for the list of homes. Just wanted to narrow down. Are you looking for new construction or, and that type of texting, we've had some decent success with it. It is confirming. What it does for you right away is anybody who responds, is a real person that's actually interested. And so that's working. I think you're spot on that these AI bots these chat bots are a great way to funnel Facebook leads, which are usually majority top of funnel, which means they're not actually ready to buy. Zillow leads tend to be way more bottom of funnel, which is why they're so expensive and everybody wants them, because, it's someone actively looking to go see a property a lot of times, not all the time, but a lot of times. But Facebook leads, they're probably top of funnel. Google leads are top of funnel to middle of funnel because it's at least intent-based versus an interrupt, right? They're actually searching for something. But these chatbots are a great way to take it from top of funnel to interest, middle of funnel.
Well, and my thought with it all is that, why not add to your marketing plan of a house that you're listing, saying that you're going to be putting out Facebook ads for it. And then with that, try to funnel in some extra business that way. That could be targeting new buyers, et cetera. And just, you're kind of getting a win-win there. You're marketing your client's property better, and you have another metric to go off of. You can say how many clicks it got, all that kind of stuff. But then on top of that, you're then also potentially getting new business from it, and you're not having to deal with as much of the headache would normally
That's
be.
well said. Yeah, it's well said.
Yeah, no, this is fun. I have been, so I'm forming a team, and so looking at increasing what I do as kind of the director of marketing as part of it, for sure. And so thoughts about really just taking advantage of each listing as an opportunity to gain other listings and other buyers. I think one interesting thing I've heard is actually taking a under contract postcard and sending it to the neighborhood. So, you can see just listed, just sold, but you could also be a buyer where you're in a neighborhood and you say under contract, and you kind of allude that, they might be able to find out what the price was under contract for. But it would be more targeted towards what would your house sell for, that kind of thing. And you can potentially get some more activity. And like you said, I think this is all, if you're doing this at different levels, like you're, Facebook marketing, you're doing a postcard, if you're getting out there in different ways, you can really be becoming more familiar, becoming not quite the Met phase, but you're becoming more trusted. You're like, okay, this person is marketing this place. I would see how, I would want to use them to list my house. And yeah, there's a lot of opportunity. I think a lot of times we are too bogged down with the actual getting the house sold process to really fully take advantage of what an opportunity is. Each time you get a house under contract, each time you list a house to try to gain more business.
Yeah, because your next deal should always come from your current deal. A lot of times it's your next listing is there. It's within the listing you have, even the buyer you have. I know with our team, when we have a listing, especially for the good ones, right, you're going to throw the open house. And one of the things we do is door knock, right, the closest in the neighborhood. And we go there strategically to ask the neighbors what they love about the neighborhood, because we can use that in our material to basically go, here's what the neighbors love about this neighborhood. And you get a lot of insight, but at the same time, so it's a non-salesy door knock that has a sales value added, which is, hey, would you like to know what your home's worth based upon this home selling? Would you like an update on the price? I'd love to keep in touch with you there, collecting email addresses. And then, so it gives you a bunch of different avenues. One, to meet the neighbors, to hear what they say, to help you market the current listing. And it's a strategic way to get to know them. So that's one thing that's been working for us. And then this idea of, which is kind of crazy, circle prospecting is working right now. And my theory on this, because it's not just Acree Brothers, but across the nation, I'm hearing this from people. I'm actually going to interview a guy out of Michigan soon that is doing a very similar thing to what we're doing and having the same success, calling on these neighborhoods, right? And you're picking the neighborhood based upon some activity that has happened. The neighborhood, a listing has come up or something like that. But I think it's working because inventory in most markets is still sparse and prices are high. And 70% or so of the U.S. is sitting on a 4% or less interest rate. And so they want to move. I have employees that want to move, but there's just no way they're going to move without prodding, without someone literally making them feel like, I guess it's meant to be, I'm supposed to move. So there's a lot of this pent-up demand. I just interviewed the co-CEOs of Next Home. So they have one of the largest, fastest growing real estate brands right now. I think it's 600 offices plus. And they were saying, Keith, who's their numbers guy, was saying he believes when rates hit 6%, that there's going to be a ton of buyers that come onto the market. And I think we are almost discovering those people sooner by circle prospecting. But the problem with circle prospecting is the sweat equity. 12,000 calls to 3,000 unique people for 12 deals so far this year. Ton in the pipeline, but 12 deals so far closed already this year from that. And it's but it's a lot. Who's going to want to make 12,000 calls to
Right.
3,000 unique people. Spread out, guys, though, over 4 months is really not that much, but it's still that. It's that level of intensity. And the added benefit, though, and Steven, my brother can speak to extremely well, is you get a lot of people who will sell their listing off market. And they don't want to go to market, but they'll sign a listing agreement with you for off-market deal. And so we have I forget what Cody said, he's the director of ops. I think he said it was like 18, maybe a little bit more, of off-market listings right now that we can share with our buyers that come into the open houses that, hey, look, where you find deals is before they come to market. We have a list of 18 plus homes already, let alone through our whole network that we can connect you to, and it helps you solidify that person that comes into your open house. So that's just a couple like strategies that are working right now for us that I hope helps.
Oh, that's fascinating. Yeah, that's great. We had talked a little bit about how a lot of agents don't invest in real estate themselves, and how how it can be a really good retirement plan, but there's just we talked about this a bit off air, but just how it's a good retirement plan. I mean, honestly, we're just put in front of opportunities as well. So there's that, but how, it just makes a lot of sense as an agent for many reasons to invest in real estate. You also mentioned to me off air that you invest with your brother as well.
Yep.
You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yep. So have been investing now for, I guess it's been like 5 years. So we've learned a lot. We're up to about 200 properties, mainly. Say what?
Said you've been aggressive. That's a fast growth. That's awesome.
Yeah, so we, obviously got into it because we love real estate. Steven knows the Lynchburg market really well, and so I always wanted to be in it. So him and I, and then our other brother Mark joined up, and we just actually got my uncle to get into. So we're starting to syndicate a little bit. But nice. So smaller, portfolio. I guess it just depends who you're talking to, but. So we mainly what I would call single family, some duplexes, triplexes. We just started in recent year and a half, 2 years, started to buy some 12-unit, 7-unit deals. I think our biggest deal has been 24 units, I want to say, that we got. We've bid, like I told you off here, we've bid on some big ones. We just can't get them because capital's too rich, and people will take a cap rate that we won't take, or they'll take, a return that we don't want to take. We want to beat the stock market where they're willing to take, just 6% because they're looking for a place to hold their money. So there's a lot of these funds and stuff like that out there. I'll tell you, we did a lot of flipping too. So, this year we'll probably flip 15 to 20 homes, but, at one point we had 13 flips going on at one time, and that was a lesson of disaster is what that was. Is like, golly, man, to manage the subs, the contractors, to keep that.
I mean, Luke, you must be a master of systems because that's a lot.
It was crazy. I mean, even right now, we have, I think, like 5 jobs going on, but some of those are holds versus flips. It's a pain, and I give all credit to my brother Mark. He's the one who's managing the day-to-day of that. So he's kind of our. Luckily, I came from a family of 8 kids, like I mentioned. So there's a lot of brothers, 6 boys, 2 girls. My brother, we just started our own property management company, 127 Rentals. So it's just early, like last 4 months. We got my brother Josh came out of the military, and he's going to run that. And so,
I mean, with 200 units of your own, I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah, we need to get. We were saying we need to get like 100 more units for it to really make sense, and that might be just our math of where we want to be, but we said so. We just started managing a couple other people's properties. Here's a pain point that I think will be relevant to the audience is my brothers Josh and Mark are operators. Steven and I are visionaries. Yes. So not that they don't, that sounds bad when you say it out loud. Mark and Josh have a lot of vision, right? But they're more operators. They care way more about the dotting the I's, crossing the T's, being prepared, where Steven and I are like, we'll figure it out, just, buy it, do it. And so it's like, it's a real struggle of, hey, what do you do first? Do you get the operations together? Or do you buy or like in this scenario, do you take on other clients before you have it fully operated out? And my experience has taught me you learn the most through application And so you can prepare and you should use wisdom, but most people wait too long. And I would encourage people that you will have pain no matter what.
Yeah.
Just step into it, because there's this thing in software development that I think translates really well, which is kind of MVP. So it's called minimal viable product. And if you wait for the perfect product to bring to market for software, you're too late. You need to bring the minimally viable product to get feedback from the market. And the market then tells you where to invest your time and energy. And that's, I think, true for your real estate investing, for property management. It's like, go to market with a minimally viable product. I can find candidates or people, applicants to go in, and I can lease the property and I can collect the paychecks and I can evict them out. And then from there, let the market tell you, wow, I'm not getting enough applicants. I need to focus my time, energy, and money on marketing. Oh, we're getting too many maintenance calls. I need to focus my time, energy, and money into the maintenance aspect of the business. Like, let the market dictate how you iterate versus trying to think of it all. And this has been a healthy debate within our own organization that I think can help and translate to people. So Josh, Mark, if you're listening to this, man, we just need to go, baby.
I mean, that's also such a beautiful combination, though, because like I think that's in the team building that I've been doing. We actually had Rosie Noel on the podcast a while back. My wife and I did the Clifton Strengths Finders examination, or whatever it's called, and we did it separately, and we didn't know each other's results. We waited until she like was able to do like a how we work well together on air live, which was a lot of fun. But it was also really powerful and really true. And it went through our different strengths, and vision was the futuristic, was the way they worded it, was one of my top strengths as well. And anyway, so when in building the team, we've had everybody that's joined on also do this strength finder. And a really cool thing too is you can take the results of that and you can make a custom GPT where you're telling them to be a perfect, whatever it's called, like a business consultant, like based on strengths and all that kind of stuff. And then you can just kind of ask it questions while they have the data uploaded of these people and how they best fit. And so we're kind of trying to form the whole company based on that. And so it's $50 to do this exam.
What is it called?
Clifton Strengths Finder.
Okay, I'm going to take note of this. That sounds phenomenal. I use something called the Predictive Index, which is like the PI. It's kind of like the DISC, but you can take it pretty fast. But yeah, okay, I'm going to write this down because that's pretty awesome.
It's a really cool. I'm blanking on the word. It's not an exam, but basically it gives you 20 seconds to answer each question, and how fast you answered will actually impact your overall score. Okay. As well. So there might be some things that you answer immediately because right away. And Rosie knows this because she actually took people, or she had somebody take it in English, and Spanish was their native language, and they were kind of slow to answer a lot of stuff, and they were listed as very undecisive, basically. I mean, they focus on strengths, not weaknesses. So decisiveness was low. But then when she retook it in Spanish, she had a completely different result. But anyway, so it's a really cool thing. And I think it's a really fundamental way of trying to understand where people are coming from. And you can then also communicate to them, knowing how they're probably seeing things, versus how you're probably seeing things. And you can kind of make jokes about, oh, that's Mattias living in the clouds again, or whatever.
Dude, that's so true. Because I was telling Steven, my brother, that, hey man, you're trying to motivate Josh and Josh and Mark by motivating them towards the vision. And all that is saying to them as operators is more work, more problems, more you don't understand the reality. You need to speak towards the day-to-day and go, hey, where are we at today on this one task? Because that is more where they live, not because it's right or wrong. We need them to do that because we're not doing that part, and so that's such good advice. I wrote that down. I think I'm going to get everybody to take it. The 4 brothers to take the Clifton Strengths.
It's been super interesting and well worth it to me, because there's 32 different strengths, and then there's 4 different categories of each strength. So you can see strategic is a bigger category, relationship oriented, and there's just, it's also you use, if you're high strategic but not good in a different area, you might have a strategy to compensate for that weakness. And again, we're not really focusing on weakness, but it's just a really interesting way of kind of being intentional about setting things up. And enjoyed it immensely so far and hope to kind of continue to build and see where, what's needed on the team. Like, what do we need to fill in the gaps that aren't there? I think we are a very relationship-oriented team so far, which is great, and I think that's going to be good. But we probably need some doers, some executors as well.
Don't undervalue the doers. No.
Exactly, and which is not, you need both, because sometimes if you only have executors, they're probably not going to give a crap about how other people are feeling. And then there's just going to be this ongoing tension that just that builds up. And so
it's like everything in life is a push and a pull. Yeah. It's such a give and take. And also you have the effect of seasons as well. So there's different seasons that come in, and one skill set is better than the other. Yeah. And it's not because it's more valuable. It's just in this moment and in this season. Yes. It is. I know as we've grown the company ReminderMedia, growth is not a straight line. It's more like the staircase, right? You grow and then you flatline because new problems arise. And the craziest thing to me has been that the thing that helped us overcome that one hump back at 10 million is the actual strength that is killing us at, 60 something million right now. And it's just you're like, wow, what I valued back then, even though it's still just as valuable, it's an amazing thing, is actually killing us at this stage because it's a different season. And so this is where comparison really kills entrepreneurs, because we're comparing ourselves to the Alex Hormozis or the, you name it, like whoever your choice of person is. And you're not realizing that, hey man, advice is so nuanced. And that is why it is so critical to get mentors who are doing what you are doing or have done what you are doing a little bit further ahead of you than, and so they can speak to it. Because sometimes it's hard to speak back to the earlier stages, because that hasn't been my most recent memory. So memory a lot of times is false. I don't know if you've read that same stuff. It's a lot of times what you remember is actually not true. A lot of it's a lie. You just made it up in your brain. So it's you want that mentor that has the life you want, but it's not too far ahead of you. It's just a little ways ahead of you, because they can remember the nuance of what it takes at that stage of the game. So,
no, that's really well said. I agree completely. But the point of it all is keep growing, keep learning about yourself, and don't forget that you probably want to retire one day. So you might want a business you can sell, and probably
if there's a deal, the money will show up. Realtors tell themselves to lie all the time. I don't have money for it. Oh man, if you find the deal, the money will show up. You know how many people want to invest in real estate? You just got to do your part, which is build relationships. Get out to the investor forums. You'll find other investors that will help get in on that deal with you. And maybe you have to keep a smaller part of the pie to begin with. But hey, man, at least you're in the right room, right? I think it was Grant Cardone who said, if you can't afford a ticket, serve, right? Be the janitor, carry the water. Yeah. Right? At least you're in the right room at that point.
I love it. And to your point, like we talked about off air, I'm actually in a syndication in Lynchburg.
Yeah, that's so funny. That's so great. Wouldn't it be hilarious if you're in the syndication that Tim Bushnell, the agent on our team, is that he's in a couple investor groups there? That would be funny.
Yeah, that would be amazing. I don't think these operators are actually based out of Lynchburg.
Okay, so probably not then. Yeah.
But anyway, it's to your point, if you're just kind of making moves, so they found the deal, and I'm happy to pay into it because it gives me an amazing benefit. And the beauty about that, on top of it, is I have no headache to worry about, really. I mean, I had to do analysis to try to figure out if the deal was right. And I have luckily really good friends with one of the operators. So I, trusted that it was a good deal. As a real estate professional, the first year that we got a K1, actually, we had just invested in November or December. And then we got a K1 for $66,000 to write off the taxes because of the bonus depreciation.
That's sick.
And we invested 50.
and you can claim it all because you're a real estate professional. Exactly. Well, I'm not a tax accountant, so don't take my advice. But I'm not a real estate professional because I do marketing, ReminderMedia, where my brother is. So I don't get all the benefits. Only my K1 can only go towards my real estate income. So I have
Yes.
enough real estate income now that, the depreciation and the, cost
Still
segregations and stuff like that helps a ton, but I don't get the full benefit on all my income.
Right.
And so it's like, yeah, if you're a real estate professional, man, how can you not be investing in real estate? Good gosh. Cost segregation, you could pay zero taxes. Imagine that, people.
Yeah. So first year, invested $50,000 first year, which only was really a month of owning it. $66,000 written off the taxes. Second year, 23. So we're almost doubled the amount we invested in tax write-offs, and that's at the same time getting almost an 11% return on investment.
Mattias, man, hit me up. I'm local to you, kind of. Hit me up on those deals, bro. Don't be selfish, man. Don't be selfish. No.
I do think this one was a little bit better than a better performer than others have.
Yeah,
and every year is going to be a little bit different. They might not have as much to write off. I mean, I'm expecting the depreciation to not be as high the next coming years, but at this point,
it doesn't matter, man. You're up. I mean, it doesn't matter at this point. It's all gravy at that point.
Yep. And then, once they do a cash out refinance, get your money back and still have 1% ownership in the deal is what I think my stake will be. So much less at that point. But again,
what I love about real estate is we've never lost on a deal in terms of buying like a lemon, like buying like something where it's like, oh, wow, we totally screwed up here.
Yes.
But we have lost on 2 properties in terms of time. Like one actually very recently in this past couple months where the time it's taken us to flip the property and the foundation problem and the septic that came back put it to where we're still going to make money, but instead of making the 30 grand on the flip, right, you're going to make $4,000. And if you calculate your time, you lost money. So we have lost money on 2 deals specifically. And what's interesting about both of them we had what I call is biased because we lived in the areas that we bought the property. One was on the same street that Stephen and Mark lived on. So they had a bias that they didn't realize, and we didn't learn, I guess, from the first one because we made this. Now, granted, we got a little screwed because we had some homeless people come and strip out all the wiring after we had just put it in, so that really hurt us. But I'm saying that so the audience knows, you will lose on someone we've lost. Hopefully not. Not everybody does. Some people are smarter than us. But if you want to go with speed, you're probably going to lose. So trying to build this up over the last 5 years, we've been trying to move fast. And so there's mistakes with speed. So you can go more conservative. But I love real estate because it is math. Like it is the numbers. Like if you just do the numbers on paper and then do worst case scenario and always go worse than you think, like worst case scenario. And if you still make money then you're probably safe. And you don't have to, I went to community college for 2 years and that's not a knock on community college. It's just like, I'm not the best student, and stuff like that. But
I think entrepreneurs often aren't.
But it's just in the doing. It's in the doing.
Yeah. And because, to that point, I think it's because you see your real results. It's a lot more tangible than, somebody assigning you some work that doesn't really seem like it matters. But not to digress, I would agree with you completely. And I think that also some people are fearful when they first get into like something like flipping because they think it's like almost a zero-sum game. I'm investing $200,000. I could lose it all. And it's rarely the case. I mean, certainly you can lose money. Certainly there can be huge headaches and problems, and it can take a lot longer than you expect. But normally, on your losses, they probably weren't huge. And especially since you're at such a big scale, you're doing so many that you probably, overall we're still way ahead. Because you can
the biggest mistake we've probably made, honestly, was not getting solid accounting. And you would have think with my background with ReminderMedia, we have a VP of finance, all that stuff. I would have paid for that up front and done that. We didn't do that. We tried to use QuickBooks. We still use QuickBooks today, but tried to learn from these YouTube videos of how to set up classes and all this stuff within QuickBooks to account for the properties. And that has been a nightmare. Really only over the last year have we gotten it to where, you can actually see everything really well. So I would really encourage people, if you're getting in, spend the money or do the time on the accounting because it does hurt you in the end because it's just so hard. Like, at the big picture you're winning, but you want to know at the detail level because the money's in the details. And so that's another mistake we have made on the investing side that I said no to my brother, which I shouldn't have. I told him, I don't know, 2-3 years ago, he said, we need to hire an accountant. And I was like, we don't need to hire an accountant. Are you crazy? We can't afford an accountant, for this business. And I should have said yes right then instead of no, because I was thinking selfishly and thinking I'm going to do the work and figure it out. You got to know when you're not going to do the work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And admitting that is a prideful, you got to be humility. I didn't have humility, obviously, because I should have said, yeah, you're right. We need to pay the money and take less for ourselves and give it, because you can tell yourself all day, Luke, you're going to get in there and figure it out, but you're not going to take the time to do it because you have your other job, family, all that stuff. And if you're not going to do it, you got to pay for it some way. And we're paying for it in lessons learned versus the money out of the door then. So.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of where you can, take the concepts of like 10x is better than 2x to heart, where if you think, you're really going to build this to a point where you're not going to have time. I think it is good to have a certain level of understanding so you can kind of check all that stuff.
Oh, that's a great point. Yeah.
But like, you're not going to have time to do this because you're going to scale to the point where it's, and then you just go ahead and make that higher and free up your time to focus on maybe acquiring more. But
well, to tie it full circle, it goes back to what I was saying with the marketing for real estate agents, for any business. They don't spend the time with their list.
Yeah.
Right. Because the list is the mundane. The list is the boring thing. The list is I have to reach out to Mattias and get him to give me his address. Right. That, like, it's all that boring stuff. Accounting's very similar. Setting up the classes, documenting the receipts, like all that stuff. It's like, and I should have taken my own medicine because it's been painful, man. That's probably been the worst part about the whole business.
The bookkeeping of flips is a nightmare, especially if you get into partnerships and stuff too. It is really hard, but worth it at the end. So don't let that discourage you. Luke, we could probably talk for another 2 hours, but
this is like the Joe Rogan podcast, man.
You want a cigar?
Yeah, seriously, some bourbon, something like that.
No, but I do want to ask if you have any golden nuggets that you want to share with our listeners.
And I would just encourage you. I mean, you can see it probably on the sign behind me. It's kind of my slogan. The difference between mediocre producers and top producers in every industry is top producers take action. So maybe you heard something today that triggered something for you that you need to do in your business. For the love of God, please act on it and don't wait. Go do it. That is truly the difference, the separator. I've been interviewing top producers on our show, Stay Paid, for 8 years, and they are definitely not the smartest, and that's not a knock on them. It is not a planned thing. It's like some of them have great plans, some of them don't, but every single one of them act relentlessly. Like they just take action, and I just would encourage you, whatever you're thinking about, that is what it is, and go act upon it. And the freedom that gives you is just immense. Like the endorphins that come from completing the thing that you need it to do, that you've put off doing, is a powerful drug, but it is hard to do that. So go do it.
That is such a good life hack too, whenever you are not feeling 100% that in a day, to knock off something that's been annoying, that's nagging at the back of your head. Like I cleaned the garage yesterday on Easter Sunday.
You are a psychopath. No,
it felt amazing. Let's ask about books now. Do you have any books that you think are fundamental for everybody to read, or just ones that you're currently enjoying?
Yeah. The most important book to read, in my opinion, take it or leave it, is the Bible. If you want to apply it in life, right, and maybe you're not a religious person, or not to make it religious, right, just go read the book of Proverbs. If you want to get immense wisdom with business, personal development, dealing with people, book of Proverbs is a super easy read. It's one of the books of the Bible. But go read the book of Proverbs. It will change your life and business. I truly believe that.
Okay, cool. Yep. I don't know if anybody's actually just left it at that. That's at the Bible. I think there might have been a couple that have mentioned it, but yeah. Cool.
Yeah, I believe it's the best business. One of my mentors built a big architecture engineering firm. He's passed away recently, but he's an incredible man, and he built his whole business off of Proverbs 31. Core values. It's actually Proverbs 31 is about a godly woman, but it applies so well to business as well. But he built his whole successful business, multi-million-dollar company off of it, and it's pretty incredible.
Cool. And then where can people find you? Is it social media, website for your marketing company, et cetera?
Yep. So I would love to connect with everybody on social, of course. So Instagram's probably where I'm the most active. It'd be at Luke Acree. So Luke as Luke, and then Acree is Acree. And then if you are interested in marketing, Reminder Media is the company. So you can Google Reminder Media or just go to remindermedia.com and we will come up there.
Luke, thanks so much for being on the podcast. This has been great.
Yeah, thank you. I've enjoyed it.
Thanks for listening to the REI Agent.
If you enjoyed this episode, hit subscribe to catch new shows every week.
Visit reiagent.com for more content.
Until next time, keep building the life you want.
All content in the show is not investment advice or mental health therapy. It is intended for entertainment purposes only.